Welcome everyone, this is AndresRestart, and in this video we're going to be trying to determine if the battle animations in Pokémon Sword and Shield are faster than the animations from Pokémon Sun and Moon. I didn't have Ultra Sun and Moon on hand, so I'm just using Sun and Moon, but I feel like the comparison will still be fair. Now we're going to be comparing some of the animations we saw during the Treehouse footage at E3 2019 to see how things fare. Some of them will be from the wild battles in the beginning of the Treehouse footage, and others will be during the raid battle. Now one thing I noticed just from the get-go I'm going to tell you, the raid battles did seem to be faster, so please keep that in mind before we get into it. The wild battles do seem to be a little bit slower. I don't know if that's just the way it is for the E3 build or if it'll change once the game finally comes out, but that's what I've been noticing in the footage. So the way we're going to handle this, I'm going to play the animation side by side, and then I'll play it back again in slow motion, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next one. So let's get started.
So yeah, we have the Pokemon wandering about the field. We call them kind of symbol encounters, where you can see the Pokemon before you actually encounter it. So yeah, we have the Pokemon wandering about the field. We call them kind of symbol encounters, where you can see the Pokemon before you actually encounter it.
Alright, so for these attacks right here, I made sure to start them together once there was a UI change on screen. Once the Pokeballs disappeared, that's when I lined them up. And from what we can see here, it seems like Double Kick is about the same speed. It's changed around in terms of the pacing, but it seems to end around the same time. However, because the Pokemon was knocked out in the actual Treehouse footage as opposed to the footage that I showed, we don't have necessarily the best comparison here, but it does seem like Double Kick is similar to the way it used to be. Okay, so now we're going to look at Ember, but for this one I made sure to start it from when the move was selected as opposed to when the actual UI changed on the screen to see how that may compare. So from here it seems fairly obvious that Ember is actually slower overall from beginning to end than what it used to be back in Pokemon Sun and Moon. But now let's look into raid battles and see how those battle animations compare.
Yes, I'm playing as Togekiss, so for my first move I've used I've used Reflect to try to protect all of us a bit. Yes, I'm playing as Togekiss, so for my first move, I've used Reflect to try to protect all of us a bit.
Now, as you may have noticed from the flame charge that I just showed off, I'm matching up the attacks from when we see the actual prompt for the Pokemon doing the attack on screen, and from what we can see from just this very first flame charge right here, it's a lot faster during the raid battle compared to what it was back in Pokemon Sun and Moon. But let's compare a few more attacks before we come up with some conclusions here.
Thank you. Thank you. More powerful, and they also have these added effects, like you saw a drought was just triggered based off Arcanine's attack. More powerful. And they also have these added effects, like you saw a drought was just triggered based off Arcanine's attack.
So after seeing both Dazzling Gleam and Scald on top of Flame Charge, I feel like it's fair to say that battle animations during raid battles are a lot faster than the previous generation. However, what we saw from wild battles, it seems like they might be a little bit slower. But let's also keep in mind this game is not finalized yet, there will be some tweaks here and there, so maybe they'll speed up the game a little bit once the game comes out. However, what I feel like what might be the case here is that raid battles are going to be sped up because there's a lot more Pokemon involved, and they want the flow of that to be quicker because there's more Pokemon in there so they can get it done at a more reasonable pace. So when we see these actual attacks like Scald and Flame Charge during wild battles or your typical 1v1 trainer battles, they may be a little bit slower as well. Now I can't say that with 100% certainty because I haven't seen those moves used during wild battles yet. Maybe there's some footage out there, but I haven't seen it myself. So if you have, please let me know in the comments below. But what I think might be going on here is that they may simply have different variations of speed, and maybe even in the options, you'll be able to control the speed of your battle animations. That would be really cool, and it would be a more in-depth way to control your battle animations as opposed to just turning them off or on. Maybe there can be varying speeds, which honestly would be a really amazing feature because I don't really like turning off battle animations when I'm playing Pokemon. I like to see the fights, but because it is an RPG, it can be a little grindy at times. I do want it to be faster, so if there's a way to speed up battle animations through the options but still actually be able to see the fights, that might be the best case scenario. From the looks of it, it does seem like raid battles are faster than wild battles in Sword and Shield, so maybe that will be an option once the game comes out, but that remains to be seen. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below of the speed of the battle animations in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I'll see you all really soon. Bye.